Ethical Perspectives on the News is produced by the Interreligious Council of Linn County, which is solely responsible for its content. The views and opinions expressed on this program do not necessarily reflect those of the staff and management of KCRG TV9.
Hi, my name is LaSheila Yates, and I'm the moderator and producer for Ethical Perspectives on the News. I'd like to thank all of you for joining us via the television and YouTube. And so we're going to talk today, and I have some great panelists here, about minorities in the Cedar Rapids, Iowa City corridor area, and how they've taken their business and provided some meaningful opportunities for people, and also some lessons they've learned through the process. And so I'm going to go by having each person introduce themselves and their businesses. So I'll start with Lawrence, if you can share with us your name, your businesses, and then we'll move that along from there.
Sure, thank you. My name is Lawrence Bryant, and my business is Public Involvement Unlimited. It's a consulting firm, and my specialty is with government agencies and real estate.
Okay. My name is Gerald, the CEO of Live Entertainment, co-owner of Prestige Cleaning Services.
My name is Vincent. I am the co-founder of Allen Property Management and Investments and A Square Energy.
Okay. Well, thank you all for joining us. I want to first start off with a question that focuses on skills. And so, Lawrence, the question I want to know from you, from your opinion, what are some critical skills that an entrepreneur, especially a minority entrepreneur, need to have to navigate navigate through and have a successful business?
Yeah, I think the first skill that anyone would need in business is planning skill, and also understanding where they're at in the business concept, because a business life has several phases in which you go through, and so it's always important to know what phase you're in. And sometimes people that come to us that are looking to seek a business or seek to go into business have a concept, and that's really where they need to start and develop that concept. But it takes some planning to get through the concept to the point of maybe startup. You're working towards startup, and most people, when they try to help business, they want to start at startup. But it's kind of like a child, where you have to conceive it first, and then you nurture it, and then you give it some strength to grow and develop. And sometimes that is even premature. And so what do you do with a premature child? You incubate it. So then you get to startup, and then you get to growth, and then stabilization, and then you innovate or you decline. And you have to know that those things are part of the business life and how you plan for each stage that you go through.
Thank you. Okay, any other thoughts about what skills are necessary for the success of a minority-owned business in the corridor?
I would agree with Lawrence. I believe one of the skills that you must have is being able to identify your starting point, because I believe not everybody's starting point is the same. We all have different challenges through our journey, whether they come from planning or whether they come from execution. But you have to have a mindset and a skill set that would allow you to benefit upon your strong points, but also delegate your weaknesses. Because up in the business world, you have those of us that come in believing every idea that we have is the best idea known to man. But we have to be able to take the constructive criticism from our counterparts. And also, I believe a true core is being able to take the criticism and being able to execute it to make the vision come true. Because a lot of times when you're dreaming, some people don't look at the reality of it. So that take a very special skill to be able to say, okay, this is a dream, but how do I, critique it and change it to be able to come to a reality? So I do agree with Lawrence 100%. You have to have a great mindset and a skill set to be able to identify these things.
Yeah. And just to piggyback, I think one critical thing to add to that is you must be willing to fail and fail forward. if you're afraid of losing, if you're afraid of messing up, then you will hinder yourself from even taking that first leap, that first jump. Being an entrepreneur comes with some risk. You have to be able to take risk. Take risk wisely, but take risks. So don't be afraid to fail, as long as you're failing forward.
And so your responses made me kind of want to step back a little bit and, looking at failing forward, looking at the concept and the incubation, looking at being willing to take those risks. How did you all come to the concept of the businesses that you've started? And, I think it's impressive because you have more than one business. Each of you have more than one business concept that's actually functioning at this time. So how did you get to the point and say, hey, this is what I'd like to do?
I think the first thing is first identifying whether there's a need. Most businesses, when they look at why they're in business, they have to really look at, am I solving a problem? Am I providing an opportunity? Am I providing the convenience? And sometimes it's all three. And so, you start at that and see if there's a need, and you determine that by whether there's those things that I just made. And so I saw that there was a need because there was a problem that folks were having that had to be solved, and I knew how to solve it. So.
Yes, even with that comment there, you're my score mentor, and so, it's just kind of, it's like, okay, what are you doing here? So, it just makes you think differently, and I would say definitely that's been some helpful advice. Anyone else, how did you get to the point?
For me, it was more so just, like you said, I should have him as a mentor right away, but a lot of it comes from, identifying a want versus a need. Because, as someone that's going into business, you look at ideas and think everything is great. But if it's not a need, those wants fade away when something new comes along. So when you understand that concept, you're always looking to better your business. You're always looking at, how to make your business thrive faster, being innovative. And for me, what made me jump into it was because I went into something with a passion. And with the passion became my drive, and with the drive became the love for what I did. So I didn't believe in work because I was doing something that I truly believed in. And when you believe in something, you speak from your heart and you go without looking at the clock. So for me, that forced me to, open multiple businesses because I'm around people every day with great ideas. But I think just the fact that I'm in a position to understand that blueprint that's here for us to use, I just benefited on it more. So just look back and I see what the counterparts are doing, things that they did to open, and even some of the things that they failed at. So if they was willing to fail with their dreams, I was willing to risk mine as well. Because if you look at any great person, they all say that they was at the brinks of losing it all before they gained it all. So when you understand that with risk comes great reward, you're willing to risk it, being smart about it, I guess. So for me, it was more so just weighing out the want versus the need, understanding the concept.
Oh, you put pressure on me now.
Yeah, of course.
Well, okay. Well, there is the political correct answer I could provide, but I don't think you've asked me to come on the show to provide that.
Right.
So I started, and my wife started, primarily because we were tired of making other people rich. We were tired of making other people money. Halloween is a few days away. A few years ago, at the corporate party, people saying, Vince, what are you coming as? What are you dressing up as? And I responded, an educated African American, right? I am who I am. And they were, startled by that, caught off guard, but that's the truth. The reason why I'm working today is because I have made so many others better. Why not invest in myself, right? So when people say, well, Vince, you have an energy company. Yes, I went to law school, got a degree in energy law. I got multiple engineering degrees. Why am I putting my best life in the hands of someone else? So I can do a check box, get this mark, and wait to sit on another man's soapbox. And that got me right there, Joe. When I make all the criteria, make all the check marks, when I did everything that people asked me to do, and I'm still waiting in line to sit on another man's soapbox, that's when I got fed up. Because at the end of the day, I was giving certain departments, certain people, certain companies my very best and the best years of my life. And then I was looking at what my wife and I had, and I said, no more. Yeah. So that's where I started.
Okay. That's an interesting perspective. What are your thoughts about, I guess, any thoughts you have related to giving someone else your best, getting educated, getting experiences, and making sure that you're doing something for yourself that in your family that is going to provide some economic opportunity versus just taking your degree and their experiences and giving someone else being on someone else's soapbox.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I know that, and I don't want to get religious, okay, but I know that God has has given me a purpose, and my purpose is to empower people spiritually, politically, informationally, and economically. And I found myself in positions all of my life, all of my adult life, and even before then, found myself in positions where I have been exposed to some things that other people had not been exposed to. And what my desire was and my passion was is to help other folks know exactly what I know, and to be able to benefit from what I know and what I can do. And so since that time, I've been an entrepreneur in government where I've created programs for the benefit of other folks, and they're still in existence, still benefiting people. I've been putting people in positions where they had not been before, and those things and places are always still benefiting folks. And so everything that I've been given, it was really for somebody else. And so I made sure that economically, informationally, politically, and spiritually, they were empowered. So.
Well, with that, if I'm talking too much, let me know. But with that, what you just shared is what I call managing the systems.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And so everything that my wife and I, we're doing, and the mentors, the mentees that we have, we're instilling them that same drive, and we're making sure that what we build is helping other people, and particularly those that are affected by policies, procedures, and systems.
Yes.
Right? And my whole purpose is to, develop, grow what we have, and then pass that knowledge on to how to maneuver through, how to tear down specific systems that prevent certain demographics from reaching that plateau or that level that so many people are chasing. Right. So that's the honesty that I speak to of. I'm not trying to say I want my own private island on my own boat. It would be nice to have that. I'm still waiting on my Breitling watch. However, it's not to the detriment of my people, but to the people itself.
Exactly.
So, being a man of faith myself, if I bless others, I'm sure that I will be blessed myself, especially when I teach them how to tear down systems.
Yeah. And for me, that was about the same concept. I mean, I worked for corporate America for quite some time, but I found myself working second shift where I'm no longer around my children as much. And when you look at any great company, it's built on the ideas of the workers. So when you go through the process and you figure out the blueprint to companies, not intentionally to take it and go start your own, but when you understand you can do the same thing that they are doing.
Absolutely.
So I'm spending all my second shift at someone else's company. I'm working, I can't call in, I can't take my daughter to school, I'm tired. I mean, holidays, I have to go through someone else's checklist to have time with my family. So as I got through corporate America, even though I reached to the top of being a foreman, I felt something was missing. And I remember, going to work one day just like, God, if you can just give me a sign to just this the time. Because at this time, I'm already, spiritually separated. I'm already mentally ready to jump into the world of having my own. And when I got to work, it was just no more for me. It was just to a point where it wasn't the money. It was more so, what can I do to build my children, legacy for them, making them understand, even if I don't succeed, hopefully my failure is enough to push you into owning a company. So it was never about me being able to have a company to take care of them. It was to have a company to show them that they can have one too. Because if you look at other people, companies that's built, their generations passed down. Each generation probably got better, and some have got worse. But I was willing to take that chance for my children, whether that means me failing and they succeed, or me succeeding and they take it and do better. And I was willing to do that. So when I understood this was the sacrifice I'm willing to make for the generations to come, it was an easy choice for me to just walk away and go off into it and just take the risk that everyone else takes.
Even in thinking about that, you talked about, your kids, and I wonder, with your business ventures, would you encourage your kids to take over your businesses, or would you like them to explore something that they're particularly passionate about? And if so, if they choose another route, how are you going to sustain your businesses in the midst that, I guess, thinking about it in the terms of having your own company and perhaps a legacy that you're leaving here no longer, I guess when you're no longer here, is there, I guess the question is there a, I guess, what are your thoughts about them not deciding to walk in your shoes? That's because I think about with college and with school, there are all these expectations that, are placed on kids, family members, but what happens if they don't want to follow your footsteps? I'll just say it plain like that, because I want to, it's important.
It's hard for me because I feel, most of us wish that our kids could see the things that we see in them. And it's unfortunate, but sometimes you have to let your kids walk their own path. So for me, my goal has always been to just set it up with the passion that I'm driven by. And hopefully they will follow the same suit. It doesn't have to be in business world, but I just want them to be passionate about anything they do. And if they ever have that emptiness in their soul that I had working for someone else, don't be afraid to get out and create, because that's part of life, is creating things that are different. Nothing is really new around us. All we doing is taking something and tweaking it to become better. So for me, I'm not doing what I'm doing to make them follow my footsteps. I'm doing what I'm doing to be an example of following my dreams and something that I feel passionate about. If they find a company that they're passionate about, work that company. But if you have something in your heart that you feel passionate about, don't be afraid to risk it all for your own.
And I think it's important too to make sure that the right mindset is in the younger generation, and I'm saying that because when we look at business, there's a difference between business and hustle. Okay.
Yes.
A hustle is you getting more. Okay. A business, you become worth more. And unless you understand that, all you're going to be doing is hustling and trying to get more. And sometimes that is a matter of helping your business grow, but I guarantee you that it grows better if you become worth more, And when those phases I was saying that are in business, when you get to startup, then there's a growth stage, You go from startup to growth. Now, how do you get there? You become worth more. You start increasing your assets, start looking at whatever business you're in, determining what adds some value to my business that allows me to get to that next phase. And when you get to that, and the reason you get to that next phase is that the reason you get to the next phase is because you have increased your value, which will allow you to get more.
Well, I would say for my children, what my wife and I, we're building, our desire is for it to be greater than our household. So the impact that we intend to make is not just for my children, our children, but for our people. With that, so if my son, my daughters desire not to run the energy business or the development corporation, I'm fine, because I intend for that to be larger than them, right? And I got that. And for those who are watching, what Mr. Bryant just shared was a wisdom nugget about a hustle and a business. And what we're trying to build is a business that's going to impact, and help people. But I was reading a script by Napoleon Hill, and when he was discussing about Henry Ford, and one thing that challenges, I would say, especially minority entrepreneurs, is we find success, and in finding that first level of success, we want to go get the house and the car, the watches and the jets and everything else. And we fall right back into that mentality that we haven't given anything to the next generation.
That's right.
And what Napoleon was
right.
speaking to about Henry, he said, after the success of the Model T, he could have brought land and property and all those things. But what he did was he turned around, took that income, that profit, and reinvested back into his business. And when he made more profit, he reinvested it again. And so until he was about 4 to 5 generations down, that they did not have to worry about anything. Now, just imagine if we all here, developed, incorporated and grew a business where 5 generations down did not have to worry about student loan debt, houses, and all of those things. And even if our children did not want to participate in the business, they're still going to be blessed by that, residual income of the specific business to go off and do their own venture, right? And I would expect that company to help those other minorities that were once like me, trying to chase this ladder that had a false ceiling to it that I couldn't break. And they were going to be in a more healthy environment to explore the entirety of their creativity. So,
well, I was going to say, let me just add on to that, because that is perfect in what you were saying. I thought in regard to how we look at our community, particularly African American community, because every generation had to start all over again.
yes.
And there should be a matter in which we don't do that. And it's not all about economic development, but it is economic development that provides the stimulus,
Yes.
to the communities. And that's what we've been shut out of and cut away from.
Yes.
Okay. And so when we talk about economic development, we're really talking about those that promote the growth of, those that produce, those that distribute, and those that consume. And so it's really broken down into businesses and jobs, okay? And because you get the producers, the distributors in the business, and then you get the consumers that are having the jobs. And so what we have to do is in our communities, start looking at those things that truly develop communities. And really, that's really what I'm about right now, is trying to redevelop and develop communities, because we have communities across this nation that have been written off. I spent a lot of time in government, city, county, state, and federal governments, know every department and everything that each department does and how they use it in the private sector. Then I spent the other half of my time in the private sector, particularly real estate, because I know how that works. And so with that, I'm saying we need to understand that there's certain things that go in and making up a community. When you look at how they develop communities, and there's always 6 elements. It's in any subdivision. You see a subdivision being created, there's 6 elements there. There's the housing, there's the infrastructure, there's the environment, there's the education, there's the transportation, and there's economic development. And everything you look at that's being built is there. And if we don't look at it for ourselves, it's not going to be looked at, because our communities are looked at as a liability
Yes.
and not as an asset. It should be able to be turned around into an asset.
Okay.
So we really need to redevelop those, economic development being the stimulus.
Okay. I want to piggyback on
Okay.
something that he said. I want to take it to more of a ground level. We are, as minorities, we are expected to have the same success as our counterparts, but we don't have the same resources.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's like playing a
Yes.
game of Monopoly with no
Yes.
money.
Right.
So yes, we can preach and we can talk about, growing a business, but not all of us had those $600,000 loans that's going to allow us the growth.
That's true.
So when you're looking at a guy like me that have multiple businesses, everything that we have is from self-investment, putting money back into it. But we also one bad weekend away from being bankrupt. We also still financially struggle because we don't have the resources that my next door neighbor may have had. So we're not, as minorities, we have the same ideas as our counterpart. We have the same drive, the same dreams that everyone else have. But we in communities that preach diversity that don't have a solution to have diversity. So you can preach it, but what's the resources?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I can
Yes,
go
sir.
through a program that's teaching me how to become a business owner, but what good is it when I don't have the credit to get the loan?
Right.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
You can give me $10,000 startup money, but what good is it when I need another $90,000
Absolutely.
and I have bad credit?
Absolutely.
So a lot of things that we face are, that's I would say more a cultural difference. Minorities are known to have bad credit, and it's not because we neglect credit; it's because we had to use our credit very early to survive. So if you're not going to touch on these issues that are true ground level
Systematic,
core,
that's right.
we're not going to go anywhere. Yes, I may open a bar and clubs and restaurants, but what good is that when I'm financially fighting to break a system that is rigged? Because that's really truly what it is, and we are in a community that preach diversity only to the ones that don't have the financial problems. So yes, you have a very selective few minorities that are very successful. So they are out of touch with what the ground level are, people that are trying to break through these doors. And I could talk about from the city contracts, going to the same contract companies.
Yep.
We could talk about the
Yep.
painting companies, the same painting companies for 20, 30 years. So what do you do to combat these systems that's been in place before us? But we are expected to have the same success without the same resources.
Gerald, it starts with the collective of us coming
Right,
together
right.
to pool our resources.
Yeah.
And that's how we make it out.
Yep.
And I know we have about 2 minutes left, and
Oh.
this is
went
really
quick,
good.
though.
Like
Yeah.
people, they need to hear this, and you all are inspiring someone just by your presence here. And so, just one quick wrap up. We have about 1 minute left. Is there anything that you want to, small sentence, short sentence, anything you want someone who is watching to hear from you to inspire them to take that leap of faith?
Don't give up. Continually look at what your visions are, because from visions you establish goals, from goals you make plans, and from plans you set out objectives. Okay.
The statistics are set by people that kept going and those that have stopped. If you never stopped, you never failed.
Okay.
I'll go back to fail forward. And with that, if you fail forward, you're making good progress. I'll cut it short.
Thank you. I appreciate all of you for coming today and sharing your perspective. So thank you very much. We are looking forward to having this tape broadcasted, or this show broadcasted, and in creating some more opportunities to have these discussions in the public arena.